All right, what's going on, fight fans? Hey, this is Coach D, the Wild Man. You know what I do. Best interviews, best stories. Today, we're going to go ahead and slow it down a little bit. Like I said, part of my, collaborations, I have a lot of partnerships when it comes to combat sports. As you see, I work with War Wrestling Promotions, and I'm here with Mica Hendricks. And today, we're going to have a conversation about where we're going in the sport of wrestling, like what's happening, what's not happening, what can we do better, and basically how people are feeling. You know what I'm saying? With the coronavirus, we got so many things going on. It's chaotic. We're right now in the election. That's chaotic. We just got so much going on. But at the end of the day, we want to give people hope that they can have a home, especially if they're diehard wrestling fans. They want to know wrestling's going to continue and things along that nature. So I'm here because I'm just curious as well, things I have to learn as well. So that's why I got my big dog. He's going to answer all the questions. So Michael, what's going on?
More. Breakfast at Tiffanys.
That's all right. Also, breakfast at Tiffanys, the spot here in Columbia, South Carolina. All right, Michael. So, we've been talking, off and on. But now in this political landscape and on top of that, we have the coronavirus. So many things are happening that the average person just doesn't know.
Uncertainty's been the word.
Yeah, extreme uncertainties. So kind of catch us up. When the coronavirus hit, what were some of the things that impact the sport of wrestling?
Well, our state championship, Skyway's state championship youth in South Carolina, was the last wrestling tournament held in South Carolina when everything shut down. Mm-hmm. And it came to a screeching halt. We had a lot of pressure to shut it down as well. Mm-hmm. Again, uncertainty. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of people worried about is it safe to come around wrestles? You're face to face. There's no social distancing in wrestling. Mm-hmm. So basically, people like me went home and went nuts trying to figure out how can we get back to doing what we love. How can we save our sport? How can we and fortunately, I work with a lot of really good people that are like-minded, that were doing the same thing, that were doing the research on ways we can sanitize. The sanitization that we came when we reopened things was amazing. Actually sanitizing the entire airspace of the arena. I can tell you, it's safer than your own home when we go into our stuff, but a lot of people don't know that. It's combating the fear and getting the information out there that we can do this safely has been really the biggest challenge.
So let's talk about the moving parts. Okay, when you're a young wrestler, what are the things that, like from high schools to local tournaments to national tournaments, how all that tie together?
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's still the same sport. Whether you're wrestling in the Olympics or whether you're a first year local youth tournament, how the tournament works is the same.
Okay.
You've still got the mat. You still got the two competitors coming out there. You still got the official. You still got all the working parts are the same. It's kind of like but it's dumbing it down to cars. It's the difference between a Mercedes and a Yugo. Yeah. But it's it's still, you got a motor, you got wheels, you got a steering wheel. All the parts are the same.
Okay.
And that's really one of the bigger things to show. I mean, if you're safe to do it at this level, you're safe to do it at this level, you're safe to do it at this level. So that was the approach we had. Let's take a holistic approach and look at the overall safety and how we can get back and get things open. Okay. Because we all know, the status quo of sitting there doing nothing was not acceptable.
Okay. So at this point, what has officially shut down, and what's the new rule sets?
Well, everything was shut down at first, and we had to fight to get back open and to prove to the various, because every state that we've gone to and done these tournaments, we've probably put on 16 to 20 national tournaments now since the shutdown.
Okay.
And we've had to go to each Department of Health, each state department and everything, and prove that it was going to be safe for people to do, and show the measures we had to address each one of their concerns.
Okay.
And it's really been, I don't want to say moving target, but it's been different at each one of them. Each state that we've gone to has had a different set of, well, I want to know how you're going to address this.
Okay.
And we've had to make some differences. Everything from, in New Jersey, it had to be outdoors, so we had to put it in a circus tent. And the only people that were allowed in the tent at the time were the wrestler, the on-deck wrestler, and the in-the-hole wrestler, and their coach.
Wow.
So
Okay.
basically 3 people for each one. It is their coach and 1 parent or 2 coaches, or any combination of the 2 people in their corner. And as soon as they were done wrestling, you had to get out of the tent so that the next in the hole person could come in.
Wow.
And
Okay.
really having crowd control, having how you're going to move this, how you're going to keep things spread out. Some of the more relaxed states, even here, we had to put chairs in pods of 6 that were more than 6 feet apart, so that so it could provide for social distancing where you wanted to. It's still, I can tell you, at an open arena wrestling tournament, it's impossible to totally mandate social distance.
Yeah.
You have to provide the opportunities where the people want to, but ultimately the people didn't really want to. Where you feel safe, but let's provide for these people that don't feel safe.
Yeah. And that's what I was experiencing when it comes to mixed martial arts, because for a minute we weren't having no events, and they slowly started happening. Like, first was, in Georgia, we were able to go to an event and they had, small crowds. Then, Charleston, South Carolina. So we're getting there too, but same thing. It's crowd control, how many people can go there. But with an event that, sells tickets, that's where you survive or you fail at. You know what I'm saying?
And it's different at every venue, but the biggest thing is, so even the venues had to realize, you still got the cost of that venue. You still got to rent that venue. That's why you need the ticket sales. That's why tickets are expensive. That's why entrance is expensive. There's all this overhead that really doesn't change, but you're cutting less than in half what you're allowing in there.
Yeah.
So, there had to be an adjustment on both ends. And then, add in the extra sanitization. What we're doing with New Way, what David Dean found, was we're using ionized hydrogen peroxide.
Okay.
And we're fogging the arena with it, which when you ionize it, just to take it down to a small level of science, you're removing an electron from it. Well, it's looking to attach to any electron. It's going to attach to dust. It's going to attach to the virus. Anything it can attach to. So, but it's expensive.
Okay.
And there was only one supplier. It was out of Canada, and it was, I think it was $4,000 for a 55-gallon drum of the stuff. And that's an extra expense that doesn't go on to, so you have to adjust for that with entry fees and all that. There's a lot of times when I look at some of the entry fees of these nationals, until I understood the overhead, I was like, because I thought like everybody else before I got into this side of the business. I was like, man, these guys are making a killing. Yeah. No, these guys are just trying to cover their overhead. We had over $80,000 in overhead for the Myrtle Beach tournament at Dirty Mountains when we opened back up.
Okay. And that's with, were we allowed to have fans at that one?
We were allowed to have fans, but that was the pods of chairs that were socially distanced from it. And there was a tipping point where I'm fortunate also to work with people. David Dean, he was like, look, some of these we're going to lose money. Yeah. I don't care. We're going to open back up and we're going to bring wrestling back.
Okay.
He's my kind of guy. He's got and he has the resources to do so. And whereas I don't, but he thinks just like me. He's like, we're going to do this no matter what it takes, because there's something bigger than us. There's something bigger than our profit. I don't care if we lose a little money here and there. We're opening this back up.
Yeah. So now that it's starting to open up, what, in your opinion, your best guess, what does the landscape look like right now?
Well, honestly, especially with everything with this election, I think it's more uncertain now than it was at the start of the virus. It's, we don't know what's going to come our way. We might get the iron fist mandate to shut down, and then we have to make a decision. Do we rebel and do it anyway and accept fines to keep it alive, or do we, or are we going to get on top of this virus thing? Is life going to get somewhat back to normal? Are we going to finally say, you know what? Yeah, at some point in time, we have to go on living.
Okay.
So we've dealt with nasty bugs since the beginning of time. There's been things come along that have killed a lot of people. I'm not minimizing a single death, because I lost my father-in-law out of this.
Wow.
Ann's dad died.
Yeah.
So it's not minimizing any of it, but death is the one guarantee we have in life. And we've gone through several nasty bugs. I can tell you, I'm more scared of Ebola than I am coronavirus. It's a nastier bug.
No, we're good, man. Yeah, you can bring whenever you're ready.
Yeah, you can bring it on out.
Yeah, we're doing good. Okay, so let's look at the political side and the personal side. Because like I said, we're just simple folks here. All we want to do is wrestle. Yeah. But from you on the political side, you have to sit in at meetings. You have to, delegate and negotiate these these political waters. From your standpoint, what are some of the things you're hearing from the political side? Like when you deal with businesses, what are they saying? Because you would think, hey, we got money, open your doors. You would think it would be that simple, but apparently
it's not.
It's not. So let's start with the political side. What are some of the things that you're hearing from them? You say, come on in. Look, we got breakfast at Tiffanys, y'all.
Thank you.
All right.
And could I possibly get some hot sauce?
And no, I'm good. I'm good. All right, so we're going to have a little bit of snacking and a little bit of talking. So
the first thing from the political end is, even are you going to be allowed to have people around?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, are enough people to have staff to run the tournament and competitors in the building going to be allowed in the first place, no matter what you do?
Yeah.
If you put them in a bubble, suit of armor, whatever, you got to look at those numbers. Is that going to be allowed? And once you get to that, the next thing is these mask mandates.
Yeah.
Hey, I can still see. Ain't that's the equivalent to me of don't worry about the kids peeing in the pool because they're wearing swim trunks.
Yeah.
But at the same thing, if that's what I have to accept to have an event, and that's what we've had to, I've felt a little bit like a hypocrite in a lot of these tournaments because I'm going around telling everybody, you got to mask up, yeah. Because it's what we have to do to have the tournament. It's what insurance says we have to do to have the tournament. It's what the venue says we have to do to have the tournament. And it's more important to me to have the tournament than to, kind of push my issue on whether or not I believe the mask is stopping anything other than spit. It stops the big droplets, but they already make something to stop me from spitting in your face. It's called a fist.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I have another question. So, has insurance changed?
Yes.
Because of
insurance has changed a lot, and premiums go. There was a lot of, and fortunately, I have people like David Dean that go and fought that battle for us and worked out the insurance end of it. But there was a lot of negotiation on coverage and being able to still operate in Corona. They came down with a lot of these guidelines. All right, once we get to it, yes, your premiums and all are going up, but also you're going to need to follow the mask mandate. You're going to need to do that. We had to prove to them, just like we had to prove to the venues, just like we had to prove to each individual health department, just like we had to prove to governor's offices, everything, that we had a plan that was safe.
Okay.
And we weren't, and there are some people out there now that, and I kind of feel like we pioneered the way for things to open, but there are some people now just rolling out mats and rolling with it that aren't taking these extra measures, aren't taking on this cost. And that, I kind of feel like they're undermining the cause a little bit. But I'm also glad that they're saying, hey, we need to open up.
And that was the big thing with a lot of, small gyms. Like, you know how the combat community is, a lot of gyms they're not big mega gyms with 20 and 30 gyms. They're that one mom and pop gym, who opened up.
This kind of storm.
And they can't, so they're making, I put all my life into it. I put my home up, I put my, I maxed my credit cards out just to open that gym. And they go, if people want to come, they should be allowed to come because we're all adults. So that's the conversation that we hear.
That's the difference between leadership and a lack of courage. I say lack of testicular fortitude. Leadership is you provide opportunities for the people that want the opportunities, and you don't force anybody into anything they're not comfortable with. So if you're comfortable coming to the gym, you should be allowed to go to the gym. You're not hurting that person that's not comfortable going to the gym that's staying home. Now, the other part to that a lot of people forget that are on the same side of open up. You need to make a pathway where people can survive that still aren't comfortable with that. And I think that gets forgotten in all the politics. Is that no matter what side you're on, if you're elected as a leader, you're supposed to be leading for both sides. You're elected to serve not just the people that voted for you, not just the people that were your side that elevated you there, but the other side as well. We're supposed to be all together.
You would think.
And I would really, I pray for this every day that we would get back to that.
I hear you. All right, we're going to go ahead and pause to eat some of this Tiffanys, but stand by for part B. This is Coach D, getting ready to eat. You hear from me again. Peace out. All right, what's going on, fight fans? Our bellies are full. Tiffanys is no joke. I'm going to give them a plug, definitely, when I put this all together. But now we're going to continue on the conversation of where we are with combat sports. Right now we're talking about primarily wrestling. And the question is, we kind of hit the political side of, what venues are doing, what the states are doing, all the things we're doing to control, this coronavirus, and basically how we interact within it. So now let's talk about the personal side, how people are feeling. So you as not only a promoter, as a coach yourself, dealing with parents who have wrestling kids, things like that. What are you hearing from them? What do they want to see happen?
They all want it. They need to open back up. They need. This is. We talked a little bit during. This is a lot of people's outlet. This is what they do for their own mental health, and that's a big portion of this is the mental health portion. People when it was shut down, and they were locked in their house, it was not healthy for them. And you see it. The suicide rate went up. I know kids that actually got to the point where they were attempting suicide.
Wow.
And
wow.
And kids.
Yeah.
We're talking about kids.
Yeah.
And it's not good for people to not have the opportunity to get out and do what they love. And I think that goes back to leadership. I think a leader does not limit people's opportunities. A leader provides more opportunities for people and makes sure that it's safe for them to do the opportunities that they love. And everything within our community is, come on guys, let's open back up.
Okay.
They all want it. I really haven't heard anyone say within the wrestling community say, nah, let's just hold off.
But I've seen the mandates from the schools. The schools are putting strict,
very strict
guidelines that
Too
make
strict.
it almost impossible to do wrestling in schools. So our personal clubs, trying to, take up the slack, or how do those two work hand in hand?
The individual clubs are taking up the slack. As
Okay.
you've seen, I've been going around, there's a lot of people that, because we're not able to operate out of the schools, that are opening up their own facilities to give kids the opportunities. And I think that goes back to leadership, like we were saying. I think one of the biggest problems is we have a lot of people that are put in leadership positions because they want the place and power of that leadership position. They don't want to make real leadership decisions.
Yeah.
And even if it were, and I think this is the exact wrong decision, even if they were to make a definitive decision of shut it down, at least you can go from there and you can plan.
Yeah.
What we're getting, especially what I'm seeing out of the high school league right now, is 1 foot in, 1 foot out, which is making nobody happy. And they're really making it difficult. You got a lot of these, and you want to see some depressed kids. You got a lot of these high school kids right now that are chasing records, and they're not going to get those opportunities. This is what they spend their whole year looking for. It's what they train for. They want to go. Why not give them that opportunity?
Yeah.
And some of the things, some of the restrictive rules they have, because wrestling is a hand-on-hand sport, so they come, no spectators. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sitting here watching volleyball have spectators in those stands in the exact same gym that they're going to be wrestling. How is that any different? They're wrestling down there on the floor. The spectators are in the stands. All it is whatever makes you feel better about me. And it's, look, we put these restrictions in. That's not leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership is actually evaluating a way to make it safe to do the things they want to do.
So let's break that down more. So are you saying schools are favoring some sports over other sports?
Oh, well, that always happens.
Okay.
That's happened since the dawn of time, and a lot of times it comes down to finances. Everybody knows, and I love football. Football's king around here, but we even had some schools when all this started with coronavirus saying, no football, no other sports. It was like, I'm going to take my football and go home.
I got it.
But, that's always happened, but it's also whether the scrutiny is on. Because I don't think volleyball is favored any more than wrestling. I think it's kind of like there's football, baseball, and the other sports.
Yeah.
As far as how most of the schools treat it. I got you. And I'm not saying that's right. I don't agree with it, but it's the way it is. That's just being real.
Now, if you had to, I look at it this way, just like when it comes to MMA, some states are moving way faster than other states, so a lot of people are trying to migrate to those states. Have you seen that in wrestling? That so certain states are like, look, we're ready to go. Anybody comes here, and that state grows, and then you have another state suffer because they're not moving fast. So you've seen that?
Absolutely, and I'm going. Like I said, with some of these events and being involved with a big organization like New Way, I've been all over the country. Yeah. And it has been completely different in each state that you go to. In some of the states, went to Iowa, it was pretty much wide open, and even some areas I were like, the heck with the mask thing. No, you got to put your mask on. Yeah. But they're ready. They're ready to go. Then you go to some of the more restrictive states. Like some of them, Michigan, Colorado. I work with a lot of people. That's where New Way is based out of Michigan.
Yeah.
And they still haven't been able to have events there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Colorado, RMN Network, out
Yeah.
west, partners with all them. Egg Year's great. He's having to move all his tournaments out of Colorado to other states that will allow it. They're losing all that revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Tournament's still going on, but they're not allowed to have it in their state because they're scared.
Gotcha.
And you know they're shut down, lockdown now.
Mm-hmm.
The unfortunate thing, you know, back into the politics side of it, it's almost been a red state, blue state line as far as how that's been drawn.
Well, yeah,
And you know, the response to the virus has been pretty much that within the sport, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's using our kids, and what our kids love to do is political theater,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't believe in that.
So let's talk about New Way for a minute. So, you know, Dean has always been an advocate to make sure we grow it. So, and he's took up the charge. What are some of the hurdles that he spoke about? I don't know if how much I speak, but what hurdles?
We speak a lot. He's one of my partners, one of the best people I've ever met in my life.
Okay. So what hurdles does he tell you? I go, look, we still got to overcome this. We're gonna okay. Everything is money. So if it's not money, what? And it's not, you know, politics. What are some other ones?
Well, it's still been he lost sleep over how do we safely sanitize the arenas.
Okay.
That was all him.
Okay.
That was all him. A lot of this planning on how traffic flow as far as people through the arenas during these, where we've had to address it at different venues, how we can safely get people in spaces where they're spaced out enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the stuff with the masks, the stuff with how we're going to sanitize. That's been him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I might have tried to talk with him and kick around ideas, but he's been up at night losing sleep over it. And you know, I remember one time he called and said, "I've got it figured out. I know how we're going to space things." And this was for Dirty Dons. He said,
"Yeah,
I didn't sleep for the past 2 nights until I figured out how I was going to do this."
Mm-hmm. I get it.
I
get it.
So
let's talk just human nature. Has the response been like, if everything with what we're going on with the coronavirus, are fans still wanting to fill the seats, or are fans scared?
Yes.
So you can pack an event right now. If you go, hey, we're doing an event right now in this state, in this arena.
You find a venue that's willing to do it, and it will fill. And we brought the Grappler Fall Classic from Michigan down here. Had 2,600 wrestlers there, and really we had more people in the arena than we would like.
Yeah.
As far as our own comfort, because got to be in CYA mode.
Yeah.
We got to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
But we kept it just, and honestly, some of the stuff there's been a little charity in the air, which is starting to wear off now that there's multiple events. But when we first came back with events, even the arguments at the table were a little different.
Yeah.
Because there was gratitude. People were just so gracious to be back.
I got you.
And doing it. A lot of the times I would have expected somebody to be belligerent and have a problem. It was like, no, thank you for putting this on. Every time we walk around telling them to pull up their mask instead of getting the pushback I kind of expected in some places. Yeah. Even New Jersey, where it's they'd rather throw a punch at you than talk to you.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Everybody just wants things to open back up. Everybody wants to get back to a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's talk future from your perspective, from you as a promoter that puts on events. What's going to save us? I mean, of course, if governor said, "Hey, open the state up," but
common sense.
Common sense. But the average person doing average things, what's going to turn this around from your perspective?
People have to finally keep seeing that as we're putting these events on. We've had 16 events like that. We've had reported to us 2 officials and 2 wrestlers, exactly, out of all these events, report within 2 weeks of an event a positive test. And we're fairly positive they didn't contract it at our venue because of everything we're doing. But they're going to have to see that. And again, a little bit of common sense is going to have to play in, which is really scary to have to bet on that because we all know that's not so common anymore.
Yeah, very true.
But people are going to have to see that we're doing these events safely and that it's been done. And they're going to have to say, okay, we can do it. You got to stop restricting.
Yeah.
Follow the lead of the people that are leading the charge and are doing the extra sanitization stuff, doing the extra things to keep it safe, and go ahead and go. Eventually, like I said, we can't live in fear all life. We have to step forward and decide we're going to move on.
Now, one more question, or a couple more questions.
Oh, we got a lot more questions.
So do you think this is forcing, you know, wrestling coaches, wrestling fans, wrestling promoters that host events to change the way they deal with states and things like that, because obviously when push came to shove, they were hands off. But then once things are back to normal, they want to act like no harm, no foul. Do you think we're going to have to, you know, look to ourselves to build our own, you know, system that allows it to? Okay, so I mean, play with that for a minute.
There will be some of these adaptations that honestly are probably a pretty good idea going forward anyway.
Yeah.
Even though it's, you know, what you have to do is you have to say, you know, there's going to be less of a profit margin because you're going to have added cost. You know, there's a cost to everything.
Yeah.
I'll just use the sanitization stuff, for example. It's probably a pretty good idea to do that all the time anyway, because it's not just coronavirus.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's strep throat, it's the flu, it's any of that. You know, if we're doing that at every one of the venues I go to, I'm going to be healthier overall, because I'm not going to get little Johnny's cold, and I'm not going to get his flu.
Yeah.
Some of the common sense out of it, you know, we're taking the temperature scans every time somebody comes in, trying to stop the sick people before they even get in the door. You know, it's and that's basically what it is: sealing your arena and making sure there's nothing in there and not allowing any sickness to infiltrate it. Parents are going to have to get on board a little bit more with maybe not taking their kid if he's not feeling good. You know, we have a lot of parents living vicariously through their kids.
Yeah.
You know, I've come close to canceling tournaments before and haven't canceled one yet, but because I see kids coming off the mat throwing up, where their parent can't stand for them not to get that medal that week.
I got you.
And you know, you got to have, again, common sense. You understand these are kids. It's not worth it. Now, you know what? If I've got the flu and it's the Olympics, I'm probably wrestling.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. The Team Bear Open in Belton, South Carolina, probably not. You know,
Okay.
You got to weigh these things.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to understand that you're putting other people at risk when you come into an arena sick. When you bring your sick child, and I think that's one good thing that's come out of this is most of the people realize they're going to stop me at the door if my kid's sick anyway or showing any symptoms, so I'm not even going to try.
Yeah,
and,
I got you.
And it is kept, because that's protecting our sport. I think most of the wrestlers and everybody that wants things opened up, when they've been sick, they haven't come because they don't want to undermine the movement of opening things back up.
Yeah.
You know, if I took my kid sick to one of these events and became a spreader, and everybody got sick there, then they would be, you know, they'd be all over it, and it would shut down wrestling. It would be very bad for the sport.
Which makes sense.
Incidentally, so wrestling saved me from the coronavirus when it all came through my family and took my father-in-law.
Yeah.
You know, I was actually on the road going from Michigan to Alabama to Myrtle Beach at the time that my father-in-law contracted it on one of his trips to the hospital for his pre-existing conditions that he had. He had a lot of comorbidities, and had to go to the emergency room. That's where he contracted it. My wife contracted it while taking care of him, all while I'm on the road.
Okay.
So while I find out they're sick, now when I'm done with this road trip and going to go home, I can't go home. Because if I was to get sick after putting on these, well, the media would be all over me.
That's true.
And so I go home and stay in my RV until my wife has been well long enough for it to be the quarantine period before I come back around her.
Yeah.
Because we all have to do our part out of that.
Yeah.
I needed to make sure that I didn't get sick, even if I didn't get sick and go to an event. I can't get sick shortly after one of my events because everybody's going to say, "Oh, it's because of that tournament." Yeah, I got to protect the sport.
Yeah, I get it. No, I get it. So let's walk not only fans but wrestlers and everybody. What's next? What are we doing? What's the next event? Is there a next event? What can we expect? What can we expect?
There's plenty of. My next event is the Bear in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's already got 119 teams signed up for it. It's sold out.
Okay.
And it's going to be big. And we're going to do all the same precautions. We're going to take care of everybody with that. The biggest challenge we have right now is finding venues that the grassroots effort can afford. When I look at the local in-state Skyway circuit, which is youth wrestlers that can't necessarily afford to go every week to one of these, it's kind of the difference between rec ball and travel ball. When you go to these nationals, that's kind of travel ball, and we know it costs more because you're paying for travel. You're paying a higher entry fee because you got to pay for that arena, you got to pay for all the overhead. But I got to keep it affordable for that wrestler that loves to wrestle. I've hard-shipped a lot of wrestlers in this state, but I got to keep it affordable for the grassroots wrestler. Now that we can't operate in schools, we've had to try to find other venues. That's been a real challenge. And we had a lot of venues that were all in. I had 4 or 5 events planned that I was going to have at one particular venue that all of a sudden, through some government money being thrown at them to say don't have events, then
Really?
they're not having events until April now. And,
Okay.
And I'm like, look, I'll take all the indemnity on. Just give me the 4 walls and a roof. No, because if we can't have any events if we want to qualify. So, I get it. It is what it is.
So even though that's a good question. So even though, you're renting, you're paying for the space. They're not. I mean, they're responsible because of their building, but they're not responsible for. You're taking on all the responsibility. They're still saying no, because somebody else says, look, I'll cut you this check if you just stay close.
Yeah. Because they don't qualify for it if they're able to rent out and have events. And the whole reason they're getting this, grant money, government money, tax money, my tax dollars, is we aren't able to operate. We will fail as a business. We need this help.
Yeah.
And so if they have one event in the middle of that, it undermines that. Well, see, you can rent, you can have, and I get it. It is what it is. It's what we battle. I'm not saying it's right, but it's it's what we're against. But also, these bigger arenas like the Myrtle Beach Convention Center, where we're having these big national events.
Yeah.
The grassroots effort can't afford that.
I got you.
They don't bring in enough money out of one of those tournaments for 1 day's rental, much less 2 and 3 days rental. And that's just on the venue. That's not counting paying officials. That's not counting any of the other overhead, the sanitization. It's just, it's not feasible. So, and we also, we tried to work through some YMCAs. And all of the people running those YMCAs and their sports directors are, yeah, we're all in. All right, how about this date? Well, now I need to wait. Nobody's willing to commit.
Okay.
It's 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Okay. So how does that, this is just more of a personal question. So how does that help, relationships? Because like I said, when you're shutting down doors, people don't tend to want to go to that door again after you don't shut it in their face.
Yeah, I agree. And there's, and it kind of breaks my heart because, one of those venues in particular has been pretty much giving itself away to host a very large event, high school state championships. And I'm afraid that it's not going to get the high school state championships back. Every year that they host it, because they are a little bit small to host the high school state championships, but because they're it means that much to the town, and they're doing it practically for free, giving it away to the high school league. And the high school league gets a lot of pushback from all the people that don't really realize the finances of it, saying you need a better venue, you need a bigger venue, well, now that they're not going to host it and they're not going to have it, high school states ends up somewhere else. I really sincerely doubt they'll come back there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, there is, in my belief, there's nothing in life is free. So I'm pretty sure they benefited from having the stage there every year in some way, shape, or form.
They brought all those people to the town, filled up the hotels, filled up the restaurants.
Well, there you go.
And that's just it. Also, their decision right there just affected every one of those restaurants, every one of those hotels, all those local businesses that kind of rely on that one big event every year with all those people coming in as a large portion of their finances. They made that decision. I don't think that's leadership.
Yeah. And see, now we're getting somewhere. That brings up a huge conversation about what events do for the economy of that town, of that area. Think how many restaurants are normally around any stadium. That's now their choice to close the doors, where no people are coming to that area to eat like they normally would. Because like I said, you think about when a fair comes to town, how many people go to the fair. When every event comes to, how many people go from, like I said, from the hotels to the restaurants. I didn't even think about that until you just brought it back up. It's a huge loss, especially if you hit them at least 3 times a year you hit them. Now you hit them no times in a year. Look what that's going to do for the overall.
And I can't tell you how much gratitude we've been shown from the hotels, from the venues, from everybody where we have come and had events, because they're hurting. And people's jobs are on the line. Now this is people's ability to pay their mortgage, feed their family, everything like that. It takes business. It takes commerce. I'll take Perry, Georgia for example. I know we filled 3 hotels completely just with our event.
Wow.
And every one of them, and the restaurants around, they're like, thank you so much, because we kept, I know when we had Dirty Don's at Myrtle Beach, every single restaurant between Broadway at the beach and Ocean Boulevard was completely full every single night.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, and it's that's how people pay their bills. That's how they provide for their families. Mm-hmm. There's an onus on all of us to still try to keep that up. Mm-hmm. Even on me, so I've got a restaurant in Belton that I like to go to, El Paso Mexican restaurant. You've been there. We broadcast from there. They've been really supportive of us. It's right beside our wrestling club. Mm-hmm. We eat there sometimes 4 nights a week. Yeah. And but when times got tight, I was like, well, maybe we need to stop eating out. And I'm like, no, because they rely on us just like we rely on them. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's tight. I need to, as much as I can. Yeah, I cut back. Maybe I don't order a beer. Yeah. Maybe I just order 1 taco instead of 3, or something. But you need to keep the commerce flowing. There is a social responsibility to keep the economy going and keep commerce going and keep people in business if you care about their business. Yeah. Because I could go home, I could shelter at home, not spend any money anywhere, eat beans and rice every single day. Then when things come back to normal, that person's lost their livelihood. Mm-hmm. They've had to shut their restaurant down because no customers came. Yeah. That's how much of their staff is out of work now. Mm-hmm. All their kitchen staff, all their servers. Yeah. They've lost their whole life. The people that own the restaurant have lost their whole life savings and everything they put into opening that. Yeah. There's a little bit of social responsibility to sometimes not necessarily doing what's best for you, but doing what's right.
So now let's talk about what's needed. We talked about what we would like people to do. What do you want them to do? Like I said, when it comes to supporting wrestling, what can parents, fans, coaches, what can we all do right now to make sure we have a viable future moving forward in 2021? You know what I'm saying? Even though we put it on events, we're not putting on events everywhere. You know what I'm saying? People can't travel, like you just said. What do we need to do to ensure that they can have wrestling?
Well, control what you can control first of all, because a lot of it is out of the control of the average everyday person other than influence. Biggest thing is, and I fly a lot by faith, and pray. Yeah. If I need everybody out there that prays to pray that that we can say the right thing, do the right thing, to influence the right people to be successful to open this stuff back up. Mm-hmm. Until there are venues willing to open their doors for an affordable rate for it, we're going to do everything we can to find what we can. I tell you, if I got to roll a circus tent out in the middle of the field somewhere, I'm going to provide opportunities for kids. Yeah. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen, and I have a great team around me that's doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. But it really, especially in this day and age, it shouldn't have taken. I've had 3 people, and Dagan, Mick, Lindsay DeFrancis, and I working pretty much full time just trying to lock in venues, and that's been a moving target to get the grassroots effort going, because there's either the venues are not affordable or they're not open. Yeah, gotcha. Provide a place, open up, have common sense, give people personal liberty and choice to decide, if I want to do this, I can. But we're not forcing the people that don't feel safe to do it. Yeah. So give people that personal liberty and choice. That's what America was built on.
Well, you heard it. Mica kept it real simple. You know what I'm saying? He said, look, everybody has their part to play. Everybody has to decide if this is important. Granted, you want to listen to hear what politicians have to say, all that kind of good stuff. But a lot of times what they're saying is not in your favor. And we're not telling you to just go, let's wait and see. Wait and see doesn't get anything done. You know what I'm saying? We're sitting here having this interview meal at Tiffanys for the exact reason. So we can spread the gospel more or less of what needs to happen in order for wrestling and all combat sports to continue to grow. Whether you're from a big venue like New Way, or you're a small mom and pop, gym trying to survive. If we're not collectively working together, feeding one another, going to each other's gyms, making sure we show up at venues, make sure we're buying tickets, make sure we're donating to whoever needs to be donated to. Like we haven't even discussed about what fees come with keeping this thing going. Should they be donating somewhere? Things like that. Those are conversations that we're going to be having ongoing, and we're going to start making our rounds. Me as Coach D, me, I always tell you, I will come out there and show you some love and put a spotlight on your club or your gym or whatever you're doing, and we're going to continue to do that moving forward. So be surprised what you may see next. You may see me just pop up at your spot to blow it up. No, I'm kidding. We're going to come out there and show you some love and show you that these are the people who are staying involved. So if you're involved, we're going to show you support. If you choose to stay on the sideline, that's your choice. You know what I'm saying? We may not come see you. You know, we still may wave at you when we see you, but like I said, we want people to get involved and show their unity and show their face and show that they're involved so everybody can see that we have the numbers to keep this going. That's all we're trying to do. So, Michael, anything you want to leave with?
And that, that you touched on a good thing there. That extends beyond wrestling. There's a lot of my friends in the MMA community. They have small MMA gyms. I've seen people have to close their gyms. I've seen people have to close their jiu-jitsu gyms. Combat sports are kind of, they're all related. They're kind of cousins.
That's true.
And you got to take care of one another, man. And I really think when one fails, we all fail.
Yeah.
I think we need to, biggest thing, support your neighbor. Love your neighbor, love other people. Help people out if you're in a position to help people out. And accept that help if you're in a position of needing help and somebody's trying to help you. Don't be too proud. Yeah. Accept that help. It's right now we all need to stick together and we all need to help one another. I think the golden rule goes a long way. It would fix every single problem we have in the country. Actually, it would fix all our politics. I don't want to push on you my thoughts because I don't want you to push on me your thoughts, and we can get along. We go. I think it would be use the golden rule. Yeah. I'm looking forward. I'm going to take Coach D. We're going to go around to some of these places that are providing new spots and new opportunities for the kids, because with opportunities being taken away, it took some people really stepping up and going out and securing locations. And there's cost to that. There's people that put themselves out there and really put themselves in a bad spot to make these opportunities for these kids. And we want to show them some love. I know we're going to be going down to Rivertown to their grand opening. They're going to have a ribbon cutting. We're going to be going down there. Coming. We're going to go. We're coming to see you, Kenya.
And bottom line, this is what's needed. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to grow the sport, we have to grow the sport. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? No matter what it is, whether it's wrestling, MMA, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, boxing, whatever the sport, we're going to have to grow it as a collective. Everybody has to feed into one another. We all have to go. We can't stay in our own lanes anymore. We no longer have that luxury. You know what I'm saying? Only through coming together and working as a team will we get things done. So one day you may be helping wrestling. The next day we're all pitching in to help MMA. The next day we're all pitching in to help jiu-jitsu. We're all working together by feeding one another when that time comes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Staying in your own lane ain't gonna work anymore, people.
And I've really enjoyed coming around to some of those places. And I was talking to Coach D the other day. I said, you know what? We need to do this on film. Let's make this loop again. Let's come around to some of these places and pop our heads in. Give them a little shine for what they're doing. Show our appreciation. I really do appreciate everybody that's out there doing your part for the kids, for the sport. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And we'll be seeing you.
Yep. Hey, it is what it is. We made a commitment to do this. We made a commitment to show that we're in it to win it, that we're not going to stop until we get there, because the dream never stops. We believe that we can build a great sport for everybody to participate in. You know what I'm saying? And we're not gonna let anything stop that from happening. You know what I'm saying? Corona is a mother effort. You know what I'm saying? But we ain't gonna let it be the end all be all of who we are and what we do. So look for us to come see you. We're definitely coming. Like I said before, we're going to, Rivertown. We're going to Rivertown first. So let's do this. Coach D, doing what I'm doing. We're at Tiffanys. I ate good. It was awesome. If you hear from me again, peace out.